Right then, so obviously on Saturday night I was there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to watch Joseph Parker knock Martin Bakoli spark out, the main man, Big Joe with a win. And yeah, I was live to see Big Joseph Parker get a brutal knockout. Yeah, you love to see it. My reaction was crazy when Parker knocked Bakoli out, but he was meant to do that to Daniel Dubois. Not Martin McCauley, because obviously, as we know, on fight week, a few days before, 2 days before the fight, Daniel Dubois pulled out of fighting Joseph Parker. Martin McCauley then had to step in, and then Joseph Parker did the honors of knocking him out in the second round. But the question is, what do we see next for Daniel Dubois? Is Daniel Dubois' career kind of ruined after having to pull out? Even though Alexander Usyk has said recently, still though, that he still wants to fight Daniel Dubois next. So that brings out something interesting. But has Turki Al-Sheikh lost a bit of faith in Daniel Dubois? Like, does he want to give him an opportunity like that again after Daniel Dubois bottling it 2 days before the fight? Is there more to the story of Daniel Dubois pulling out? Because I've seen some things which there might be. They're only rumors. They're only rumors of just what people are saying. I'm not accusing anyone of anything or anything like that. But yeah, Daniel Dubois bottled it. I mean, apparently he was ill and, couldn't get past the doctor's test. That's what we're being told for why Daniel Dubois couldn't make the fight against Joseph Parker. I doubt he was scared because, who's going to, put in all, the money to the training camp and all that, train all that just to pull out 2 days before the fight. He's scared. Like, he wasn't scared. We know that. But did Daniel Dubois, was he on steroids? Because that's what I've been seeing from people. Did Daniel Dubois fail like a late steroid test or PED test, whatever you want to call it? And it's been covered up by everyone else because this happens more than what we expect. There are people pulling out of fights because they failed PED tests, but it doesn't actually happen. Like, it does happen. Look at what Eddie Hearn tried to do by covering it up with Conor Benn. Like, we've had some instances like this where it's actually happened, but we don't know about it as fans. And I've seen loads of other boxing fans saying it's pretty fishy why Dubois pulled out 2 days before the fight when people are saying he looked fine at the public workout. So yeah, it is a bit dodgy in my opinion. But I mean, either way, though, if he was on PEDs or not, I mean, there's no actual proof of it. But although there has been things that have came out, apparently Anthony Joshua's team said in the build-up to the fight that Dubois didn't want to do any like provisional testing or something like that before the fight. That there was some rumors going around, and I've seen the odd thing of people in the past saying that Daniel Dubois might be on steroids, and I've seen it quite a lot in the comments on social media saying, oh, it's dodgy, was Daniel Dubois on steroids, and it's just all a cover up. And it's very much possible that's the next option, but I mean, we are hearing things that yes, the doctor pulled Daniel Dubois out, but either way though, it is dodgy whatever happened. And either way, this has given Daniel Dubois a bad reputation because, people who travel to see him, there were many Brits around me in Riyadh. I was rooting for Joseph Parker anyway, so I wasn't there to see Dubois. But I was there to see Big Joe knock out Bakoli. But yeah, I do think for Daniel Dubois, he disappointed a lot of fans out there, people who wanted to see him. And, he let Turki Al-Sheikh down. And, it was him and Kid Austin who kind of, in a way, ruined the card a little bit by pulling out late notice. And, there's loads of conspiracies going around. So, there's going to be that, little bit lost trust from, Turki Al-Sheikh and Daniel Dubois. Because of this whole situation at the end of the day, like there will be, and I feel like a lot of fans are going to feel a bit disconnected from Daniel Dubois as well. People who were fans of him before, might feel a bit disconnected and might have gone off him a bit because, he's cost everyone a great fight and people wanted to see it. But I think that if Daniel Dubois gets given Alexander Usyk next, I feel like there'll be a lot of uproar and a lot of backlash because Daniel Dubois should not be fighting Alexander Usyk next. He should have turned up for the fight. And look, if he had turned up and if he had beaten Joseph Parker, then he would have deserved the shot. But he doesn't now. Like, you can't pull out of a fight 2 days before, and then for your next one, you get given Alexander Usyk. Like, that can't happen. There's also another conspiracy that I've seen from some people saying is that Daniel Dubois pulled out of the Joseph Parker fight because there was a bigger money fight with Alexander Usyk around the corner. That one I don't believe, though, because why would you pull out only 2 days before if there's a fight round the corner with Usyk? Like, you wouldn't do that. But, people might say, oh, he just didn't want to take the risk. I don't know. And, and they might have already been in contract negotiations and might have faked the illness or something like that. I mean, to be fair, there are reasons that can be backed up by it, of course. I mean, we're boxing fans. We all make kind of conspiracies about these things, no matter what, to be honest. Loads of people would disagree with what I'm saying, and that's your opinion at the end of the day. But yeah, look, as I said, Daniel Dubois shouldn't get the Alexander Usyk fight next. There'll be a lot of backlash, there'll be a lot of uproar, and if you pull out 2 days before fight and basically let a fight down as your co-main event, and you in a way let the event down, but it's not a good look if he gets an undisputed title fight in his next fight for all the shenanigans that he has, that he had, like, for the whole of last week. Like, he can't get an undisputed title fight because of that. Like, that would look very, very, very poor. For Daniel Dubois, what do I think is up next for him? I mean, yeah, in a way, his reputation's been a bit shattered. But there's still big fights for him. He's still the IBF champion. Should he have been stripped off the title and that? I mean, I feel like yes. I feel like right now Joseph Parker should be the IBF champ after beating Martin McCullough. I feel like they should have still given Joseph Parker his chance to fight for the title, and McCullough was up there as a big contender as well for the IBF. So I think right now Joseph Parker should be the IBF World Heavyweight Champion after beating Martin McCullough in the second round. I think Joseph Parker should be the champion. But he's not. It's still Daniel Dubois, so it does mean that there's still big fights around the corner for him. And I feel like he is pretty fortunate that he is still the champion because this has kept things intact for him. But yeah, no matter what, it still ruined his reputation either way. But what is next for Daniel Dubois? It shouldn't be Alexander Usyk. That is what I will say. I think it should either be give Joseph Parker his opportunity once and for all. Give Parker his opportunity once and for all. Or Joseph Parker can go and just fight Alexander Usyk, as he's obviously got the WBO interim belt. So he can then fight Alexander Usyk because he's technically a mandatory Usyk. So Joseph Parker can do that instead of Daniel Dubois. I feel like that could be fair. And then, you never know, Daniel Dubois could then fight Ajit Kabayel, even though Kabayel's not the mandatory at the IBF. But, I mean, who wants to see Efe Ajagba versus Daniel Dubois? Nobody. Do Ajit Kabayel versus Daniel Dubois or something like that. Like, I'd quite like to see that fight. Get Daniel Dubois defending his belt on a Saudi show or something like that and make it be Ajit Kabayel. That is what I think could be next. I mean, if Anthony Joshua wants the rematch with Dubois, then they could do that, but I can't see that happening if I'm being honest with you. But again, the Efe Ajagba versus Daniel Dubois fight won't surprise me if that does happen. Efe Ajagba might just want to jump right into the fight with Dubois now. Basically, he's up there as one of the main IBF contenders. That would not surprise me at all. But look, we're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, Fabio Wardley's name's been floating around, Daniel Dubois as well. I don't really want to see that fight as of now. But again, people might see that as like a big British fight that they'd want to put on. So again, that could happen. I don't know. But let's wait and see. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all in a bit.